Hello everyone, this is Ken Haptonstall, Superintendent of Schools here in District 51. I wanted to take a little bit of time today to explain some of the things we're working on as part of a reorganization plan here in the district. Hopefully this will find you well after Christmas break and ready to go for the rest of the spring semester. So I'm going to walk through this, probably be fairly quickly. Obviously there will be time for questions as we move forward, but what I'd really like to do is kind of go through this now so you're aware of where we're going and what we're doing. And then what I'll do is every couple of weeks give you an update on what's going on and how we're moving forward and progressing with this plan. So I'm going to walk through each slide, some of them a little bit longer than others, to kind of talk you through what we're trying to do. First, just kind of a little bit of overview. Obviously, our mission, engage, equip, and empower is the what of what we're trying to get done here. The current organizational structure, I'm going to talk about that briefly, and then moving towards our implementation process of the D51 learning model, and then kind of our new organizational structure, and then a process and timeline for making the changes as we move forward. This is our current organizational structure, at least the kind of the top level of everything and where positions fall and responsibilities go. You obviously have me on there and working for the Board of Education, the Board of Education working for our community. As you can see right now, we have kind of a lot of different areas of support. Some of them aligned, some of them not so aligned. We definitely have some areas where things have become siloed over the years and some redundancies inside of our system. And over the last 6 months, I've really been kind of looking at how we can streamline our efforts to best support schools, and particularly our efforts to support the D51 learning model. Some of the positions that will not exist in this new model are shown below. There's a significant number of those, and I'll let you, of course, read through those, and we will be posting those in a separate document for everyone to see. Many of these positions are reflective of both our executive director corps, our director corps, and coordinators across the system. This is not completely inclusive, but this covers about 90% of those positions. Some of the keys to implementation of our D51 learning model is that we have resources and personnel shifted to support our schools, realignment of our current structure. We're going to move into an area approach where we are going to divide the district in half and support those feeder systems by really thinking about how to implement effective practice and replicating effective programs and innovations across our system. We're also going to change our personnel around to really implement this approach, the feeder approach. We're going to talk about how we can support leadership at the building level to support our learning model, as well as envelop special education, ELL, and GT into the model. Right now, those tend to sit outside the model, and in looking at what we're trying to get done, it makes more sense to have them part of our performance-based learning model than it does kind of outside of that. We're going to review all the intervention and title dollars this year and really see how we can support the D51 learning model out of that. We're also going to add in some other positions to talk, and I'll talk about those here in a minute, about how we support and make sure the dollars we have are being spent wisely. We're going to add some information in around or some strategies to really figure out return on investment, how our innovations are currently working, how our options are working. We're going to look at research and development, and we're really going to be focusing on learner outcomes in this process. This new model is very hard to see in this draft because it's really on a 2x3 poster because it's a pretty big endeavor. Essentially what you're looking at is towards the left side of this model as you're facing it. You'll see a structure that's based on an east and west model that has a executive director of site leadership, and then has directors and assistant directors for each of those, and then underneath those you can kind of work that out and look at, we're adding in an MTSS coordinator and some other things. I'll talk about those more in detail. This is really a structure, especially the implementation and learning side of this, that is based on a feeder system structure where we're supporting from the ground up to graduation to make sure kids are getting everything they need and be successful. We'll also again be adding in some other positions to be able to support these structures as best possible. So let me move forward. Who will this impact be a major change to? Obviously, all the executive directors. We have directors positions, we have coordinators positions, we have coaches positions that'll all be impacted. Some of the positions will be new positions. Some of the positions will be remain the same. But I am going to ask everyone in the system at the leadership level to reapply for their positions. And I'm doing that not, in fact, to say that one person isn't doing their job or is doing their job, but it's more to really realign our structure, make sure we have the best people in the right places to get this job done. There's only two positions that we will not be asking to reapply, and that's Randy Dalton, who's the Executive Director of Technology, because he actually filled that position in late August, early September, and one other position that we'll talk about here in a few minutes. So another key component of this is currently right now we have 41 coaches between instructional coaches, ELL, GT, and content facilitators, and we are going to pare that down to 25 District 51 learning model coaches, and then utilize some of those other FTE to support the implementation of technology, as well as creating a team to work on curriculum and rubric development. So we'll talk about that as we move forward as well. New positions to the D51 learning model. We're going to add back an assistant superintendent to get this work done and to do what we need to do, and to make sure my time is used effectively in supporting schools and supporting our system with our community. This position will be added back in. We lost that position budget cuts quite a few years ago, but with the change in focus and the way our leadership team is going to be developed, this is an integral position to that support. We're also going to add in an executive director of implementation. Again, moving away from development to really an implementation process. We're going to add in executive director of site leadership. We'll support the two strands of our east and west feeder systems. Director and assistant directors of site leadership. So there's a total of 4 positions there. Director of program evaluation and research development. Currently, we do not have anybody in the system who takes data and really sees if the dollars we're spending are being effective, or we're really looking forward to the next 5 to 10 years around research and development. So we need to add that in. Director of innovation will be a person that will coordinate with all the different innovations we're trying to get done in the system, including DIA, STEM, STEAM, New Emerson model, any of those models we're working with to really be able to support those both internally and externally. Director and assistant director of student options. These positions will be focused on all of our options processes, including R5, Career Center, Valley School, any of those. We're really going to work to add in, we're also going to add in a couple MTSS positions that are going to help support schools and feeders. So when we have students who are not being successful in those, they will work directly with our student options folks to be able to find the appropriate place for those students and to really make a difference for their learning. We're going to add in a director of communications. I think one of the things I've heard loud and clear throughout our system is the fact we do not do a good job of communicating, and we need to add somebody in to really take the lead on that and support communications and marketing efforts in our district. We are going to, it's not a new position, but it is a position that we're going to kind of adjust a little bit as our director of professional learning. So we'll be adding that in as well. Other new positions and changes are coaching coordinators, which are really the folks who are going to help us support all of our 25 coaches going out. We'll have one elementary person that will be charged with supporting GT, ELL, and District 51 learning model processes with our coaches, and there'll be one secondary person to do that as well. We're going to take the role of curriculum person and make that a director's position who will support a team that will both develop curriculum and rubrics as well as purchase curriculum as we move forward with the dollars we're getting from our mill levy. Director of Student Services, it currently is an executive director status, but to really create a streamlined approach where we have everybody underneath the same umbrella focused on student learning, we're going to change that from executive director to director. We're going to add in a director of college and career readiness so we can have somebody specifically tied to working with our community and our partners, our business partners, and our collegiate partners, and making sure our kids have opportunities to both go to college and get careers. We're going to have a curriculum development team, which is going to work with the director of curriculum. 4 persons are really going to be charged with purchasing and development of curriculum for the D51 learning model. We'll have MTSS coordinators for each East and West area schools. We're going to change our professional programs director to a coordinator to help support all federal programs and management of those programs. We're going to add in a school counselor coordinator to help support all the counselors in the district. That's one thing I've heard loud and clear across the entire system, that this is a need that's been out there for a long time. We're going to continue with our induction process, but we're going to ramp that up to a 3-year induction process. This is really not a change in this team, other than we are going to look at how we add to that to support a 3-year induction as we move forward, because we know students or new teachers need all the support they can get in being successful. Other new positions and changes. We're going to add in an assistant director of maintenance and grounds to support the director of maintenance and grounds. With all the work we're doing right now and moving forward, we believe that's a very necessary thing to make sure we are taking care of our schools and our facilities. An assistant director of finance is going to be added to support our finance department. Again, having to deal with all the bond and mill issue work, we need people dedicated to that. I already talked about this earlier, but again, we're going to have D51 learning model coaches, so there'll be 25 new positions, which will be a reduction from the 41 current positions we have that currently serve ELL, instructional, and content facilitators. The other thing we're going to do is add in 4 D51 learning model technology coaches to help support all of the new technology coming out. We really believe that's going to be a necessity as we move forward. We are going to add a community partnerships and relationships person. We know we have a need to be a part of our community and to work with a lot of different organizations, and feel it's a very necessary position to keep us moving forward in a positive way with our community. Position titles and responsibilities that remain, but staff will need to reapply. These are all positions that are currently in there, but again, I'm asking everybody to reapply. I will tell you that these positions are all open to the entire world. Anybody can apply. I would encourage anybody in our system who feels they have the prerequisite skills to apply for any of these positions to do so, and I'll talk about that a little bit more in a minute. But these are all current positions that we are going to open up again. And again, we're going to remain, these folks will still remain the same, and just and open these positions up. All the support staff for these positions that we currently have underneath, so if you think about all the folks that work in the HR department, all the folks that work in grounds and facilities, food service, textbooks, all those will remain the same. We're not going to ask any of those folks to reapply for their positions. Really looking at the leadership of all those groups. Those individuals, and so folks will not everybody will have to reapply. And I know this is a little bit confusing, but the org chart can kind of demonstrate who they are and where they are that need to apply, and we will let you know that as we move forward. Also, just wanted to mention that administrative assistants that are currently assigned to a position that is going to go away, we'll work to reassign those as we move forward. We're not looking at reducing any of those. We know that those are probably already overtaxed as it is. So the process for changing our organizational structure. All positions will be posted externally and internally. Industry candidates will actually need to apply via the district's AppleTrack system in an abbreviated industry tool. It's a little shorter than the normal one. I was going to just have folks just hand in a resume and a letter of intent, but we can't really do that with the way we need to track folks that are applying. Candidates may apply for multiple positions, as there will be many more candidates for the positions available. External candidates will need to apply through the district AppleTrack system in the longer version. Staff are really encouraged to stretch their thinking about the possibilities of the positions and how they can really be a part of moving our system forward. Really looking for folks who are visionary in their thinking and who really want to get some good work done. Existing staff who are not selected for a position will be granted a position in the school according to district policy, state statute, or their contract. And we'll be discussing that with each individual as we move forward. Candidates need to be able to hold a current teaching certificate to be able to do that. So we'll move on to the next step. Kind of a timeline. I've reviewed some of this with board members already. We're going to have one more conversation we will have, by the time you see this, Tuesday night at the work session on the 9th of January, and then this video should go out on the morning of the 10th, and then we will begin posting. We'll post all of our cabinet level positions, and you can go ahead and read down the list of when things are going to be going out after that. This timeline is ideal. I mean, if everything falls in place perfectly, this is the timeline. But as you all know, things happen, schedules change, and things get kind of complicated. So this is the timeline we're hoping for. If anything changes, I'll be sure to let everybody know. Phase 1 are these positions. You can definitely look through those so you know which ones are coming up. Those will be posted by this Wednesday. Phase 2, by the 17th of January, positions will be posted. Phase 3, positions will be posted and on the 31st of January. Phase 4 positions will be posted by the 7th of February. Ideally, and as a professional, I certainly feel that it's appropriate to make sure folks know where they're going to be early. So, in fact, if they don't get a position or don't get the position they would like, then they have the opportunity to apply either internally or externally for other positions. I think getting this done as early as possible makes the most sense for everybody, and particularly for the benefit of our district. How does this impact the leadership of schools? This is another difficult one to see because it's pretty small, but we'll certainly get this out there in a larger version. But effectively, the director and assistant director of the East area will have about 20 schools to manage and work with and support, and then the director of options will be over our options programs like R5 and WCCC and Summit. All of our charter schools, Grand River, all those. So you'll kind of see how this goes as we move forward. And again, I'll keep updating you on this process. What's this structure going to allow us to do? And again, I've talked about this, but it's really going to focus our energy on supporting schools and the implementation of the D51 learning model. It's going to cut out redundancies. It's going to cut out siloed aspects of our current system. It's going to focus a lot more effort on making sure our learning model is supporting special education, ELL, and GT. It'll allow us to move to a full implementation support. I'm not saying it'll all get done next year, but we will be able to support these schools with full implementation of the D51 learning model in middle schools during the next school year. We'll also continue to support high schools and elementary schools who are working on D51 implementation, learning model implementation, as well as title needs that may exist. We're going to be able to support program evaluation efforts in a different way than we ever have, and innovative programs as well. We're going to support college and career work throughout our community at a much deeper level than we have in the past. How much will this cost? There should be a significant cost savings out of this. The total savings is dependent on who is hired. So what I'm going to do is wait till we get everybody hired in April, and then I'll let you know exactly how much this saves. There is no immediate, this is how we're going to spend any savings. The one thing I have talked to the board about specifically is holding off on doing much of anything until we make sure going into next year that we have the people we need to get everything done. Obviously spent a lot of time thinking about this reorganizational model, but there's always things that we might have missed. So I want to make sure that we have everything we need to support schools. So we're not running out and spending all that money on other things. We're going to be smart about how we do it. Conclusion, this is obviously a major shift for our system. I don't think this has ever been done in a system this size, but I think now is the time to make that happen. So none of these decisions have been taken lightly, and there's been a considerable amount of thought that's gone into this whole process. There's going to be hurdles, and we know that. I know that. I hope everybody is patient with that. That we work through this and we keep the goal in mind, which is that all of our students, and I mean all of our students, are learning at high levels. I want to make sure our system is moving forward by next fall with a real vision and a real support of the vision to make sure we're getting things done properly. I do encourage everyone in the system to apply to be in a leadership role if that's where they want to be. These jobs, there's no names on these jobs right now. So, the other one, I guess the only other job I failed to mention was Angela Christensen, who's actually hired by the D51 Foundation. So that one she will not have to reapply. So anyway, but between that one and Executive Director of Technology, those are the only two that we already have folks lined up for. Everything else is fair game. So that's where we're headed. Thank you so much for your time and the work you do for our children. This is going to be an exciting time. It's going to be very stressful for individuals, and I understand that. And I'm here to support people, and but most importantly, support our kids. So I thank you for your time. I hope you have a good week, and I look forward to talking to you all soon. Thank you.